Welcome back to the channel. My name is Andrew. It's a pleasure to see you as always. I've got my phone out here. I've got Instagram open because today is August 1st. I posted a photo earlier today asking you to submit questions for the August Q&A, and man, there's a lot. So I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna plow through a few of them, or as many as I can, try to give you guys some information, answer the burning questions. I loaded them all. I'm gonna give fair play to the early questions, and let's see how we do. So the first one is an option to try and go and play the European lower level tours, like the Alps Tour, the Euro Pro Tour. Not anymore. It was early when I first turned pro, maybe 24, 25 years old. It was an option, whereas now it's just not an option. I'm too old to do that travel. I've got too much of a life set up here in North America, so it's just not an option. And then on top of that, it always comes down to the finances, and just going over to Europe and spending all that money to play, it's just more expensive than staying here. So it's no longer in the cards. Lowest score you've ever shot, recreational and tournament play. Lowest score recreational, I believe, is 62. Lowest score in tournament is only 67, but maybe I can go lower this year. Do you think the Canadian Open should be moved around the country or should it stay close to the GTA? I personally think staying close to the GTA is the best thing. I mean, it's the largest city in Canada. It's got the best golf courses in Canada, and it's the most golf population in Canada. So keeping the Canadian Open there is a true representation of golf in Canada. I don't like Glen Abbey. I don't think that's a great host for it. So moving from Glen Abbey, I think that's a great idea. And the change in the schedule is really good too, because it's the week before the US Open. So say the US Open's on the West Coast, the Canadian Open the week before on the West Coast. It's just better. It would be better for players. And that's what it all comes down to. When you have an international tournament, because Canada is still international, so not every player on the PGA Tour has a passport, or every caddy has a passport. So when you have tournaments like this, if the travel is easy, and Toronto's a very easy city to get to from anywhere, it's more enticing to players. So keeping it in Toronto, I think it's a good idea. How do you edit your videos and what music do you use? I edit with Final Cut Pro, and I use Epidemic Sound. So I pay $15 a month for their YouTube licensing, and it's just a massive library of all kinds of music. So that's where I find all my music. When's the What's in the Bag coming? I don't know. Honestly, I'm still using the same clubs from last year. I'm still waiting on my equipment from TaylorMade this year. There's just sometimes back ordering and shipping, and we're lower down the totem pole. So I've been using the M3, but everything else is still the 2017 What's in the Bag. So I'm just waiting to make that video when I have new equipment in the bag, because I don't want to make a video basically with the exact same golf bag and club setup as last year. How important is it to play a practice round at a course for the first time? What would you do if you didn't have time to play a round? I think it's incredibly important to play a practice round. I've made videos about these practice rounds. Mainly it's because you get a feel for what the greens are like, where to hit it on the greens, and also just a feel for being on the golf course. You're not going to be surprised when you're standing on a tee shot and going, oh wow, I don't like this, I don't know what to hit. And that shock and that surprise can create doubt, and then it's just a downward spiral. If you don't have time to play, like sometimes happens with us, walk the golf course, or just ask the pro shop for a cart and just go drive the golf course so you can see it. And if you don't have that option, Google Earth is a great option as well. You can get flyovers of the golf course. So again, you just have a feel for what the golf course will look like and potentially play like. What to do differently mentally when you play tournament golf versus practice regular rounds? I think whatever I do mentally in tournament golf is probably wrong right now, because I think I get a little too uptight, or I get in my own way, or I think too much, or I take it too seriously, or I don't know how to keep my brain compartmentalized throughout slow play. Because when I go out and play recreationally, like I played 36 holes yesterday, 18 today, and we're just flying. I'm just teeing it up and I'm hitting that one thought, boom, and I make a boatload of birdies. And tournament play, when it slows down, maybe I slow down, and when it's slow, I think too much. So what do I do differently? Nothing good, I guess, but I'm working on that always. But the one thing that I do differently that I think is better in tournament play versus just straight recreational play is my intensity level is up. I don't do great if I'm not 100% focused. So that's one good thing that I do mentally in tournament golf versus recreational golf. The intensity level is high, the focus is at 100%. Favorite Adidas shoe? off the golf course, NMDs. And on the golf course, Tour 360s, those are the best. They're just the best. Boost is the absolute best. How far do you carry a stock 7 iron? I think my stock 7 iron yardage is like 182. Then when you get in the summertime, humid, it goes a little bit further. Like it's going a little further right now, but my stock 7 iron, 182 yards. As a 15-year-old, what were your aims and aspirations in golf for future life? As a 15-year-old, I wanted to play on the PGA Tour. My whole life, I've only wanted to play on the PGA Tour. I've only wanted to be a professional golfer. So that was good and bad. Like that was a detrimental thing sometimes because my whole identity was golf. And as I've grown and been through some really difficult times, I've learned there's other things in life that are far more important than just golf. But as a 15-year-old, it was golf, 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 golf. How do you stay focused if you have a bad caddy? That's a tough one because sometimes when you travel, you play internationally, you sometimes have a caddy that doesn't know golf, it's a volunteer, or a caddy that you can't even communicate with, they speak a different language. So how do you stay focused? You still stay focused on your golf, like that's not a hard thing. It's just when the caddy maybe makes noise or gets in the way of other players, that begins to frustrate you because you feel responsible potentially for other players' struggles. And then I have had instances where caddies we're in the trees or something, I'm hitting a punch out and I'm like ready to pull the trigger and they ask what shot I'm hitting. Like sometimes caddies, bless their hearts, they just are like, they don't understand kind of the thought process or the intensity level that we're at. So staying focused is just really, you laugh it off, you take a breath and you just refocus and start over and try not to let it frustrate you. That being said, if you're struggling and playing poorly, it's really hard to not let it frustrate you because it seems to be like just this downward spiral. What's my natural shot shape? High fade. How do you get out of a slump? I think there's 2 ways to get out of a slump. You work your way out of it, or you take a little breather, do anything else but golf. And I think that ties into like the advice that I always give when people ask me, how do you get better at this game? Or how do I get to college? How do I eventually want to turn pro? It's hard work and patience. So the slump, it's both of those, but the hard work is working out of it and the patience is taking a break and just letting it pass. So I think those are the 2 ways to potentially get out of a slump. In the transition to pro golf, should you spend your time doing mini tour events or things like PGA Tour qualifying, US Open qualifying? There's a lot to this question. If you have the opportunity to go to Q school for a high level tour, when you first turn pro, do that. If you can get to the highest level possible when you first turn pro, you're gonna throw yourself right in there and the learning curve is gonna be this steep, but it's the best way to prepare yourself for a potential future in professional golf. If you're starting off and you just put yourself in mini tour golf because you wanna maybe gain confidence or whatever, you're gonna be in for a hard time because the mini tour system is different than like the big tour system. The big tour system, and I'm talking like PGA Tour Canada and above. And yes, there are some great mini tours that are 72 hole events, so put them in there too. But the 72 hole event system is far different from the 18 or 36 hole event system. That short round, 1 or 2 round is just like play reckless, go all out and kind of add it up when it's over. It's feast or famine. Whereas the 72 hole system, you have to learn to be patient, you have to learn to play strategies and learn the value of shooting 1 under maybe, or even par, or 2 under when you're not playing great golf. Whereas in a 1-day event, nowadays, if you shoot 1 under, you're not even getting paid. Or if you shoot 2 under in a 2-day event, you're not even getting paid. And that can really frustrate you to think that you're not a good enough player. And that's not the case. And that's why you often see a lot of people that chase Monday qualifiers, shoot 63, but yet don't make cuts because maybe their game's not ready for 72 holes or catered or whatever word you want to use for 72 holes. So that's like, depending on if you have the funding. If you're gonna start it out and you're comparing playing mini tour circuit versus just chasing Monday qualifiers, do mini tour stuff. Because chasing Monday qualifiers, it's 1 round and you're done. And you don't really learn from it, because if you don't get in, well then you just have to wait a week until the next one. And you can play like great for 4 weeks and shoot 68 every day and not get in a single tournament in these Monday qualifiers. And what have you really learned about your game in competition? Whereas The alternative of playing a 1 or 2 day tournament, you're gonna gain a lot more and learn a lot more, because yeah, you shoot 68 in the 1 day, maybe you finish 8th or 4th or 2nd, but you shoot 68 the first round of a 2 day and maybe you happen to be in the lead, or maybe you happen to be one back. So now you're gonna learn how to potentially close on a victory or come from behind and win, or what have you. But just playing 1 day qualifiers, you're not gonna learn a lot about your game, and you're gonna run through money really, really quick with no potential return on that money. So it's tough. It all depends on like what your backing situation is like. So if it was play 72 hole event tournaments versus 1 and 2 days, take the 72 hole events. If it's Monday qualifiers versus 1 and 2 days, take the 1 and 2 days. I hope that helps. What advice would you give yourself as a junior golfer, like 12 to 14 years old? I would give myself the advice of enjoying it more and being more patient. I thought I had to figure it all out at that age because my future depended on it. Like, I needed to get into college, and if I didn't play college golf, I wasn't gonna play professional golf. And I just put so much pressure on myself in those early ages. And that's an age where you should be enjoying it a lot more. And I enjoyed it when I played with my friends, but then if I played a tournament and didn't play well, I was not enjoying it at all. So it was, take it a little less seriously, enjoy it more, and be patient and just like soak it up. And bad golf's not the end of the world. Say you're super hungry and you're traveling where there's only Taco Bell or McDonald's. What are you choosing? And what are you getting? Well, I'm choosing Taco Bell, always Taco Bell. Kelly hates that I love Taco Bell. So it's almost like my dirty little secret. I eat Taco Bell and sometimes I won't even tell her about it. It's like, I love Taco Bell. There's not as many Taco Bells in Canada, so my waistline isn't as affected. What am I getting? I'm pretty basic when I get to Taco Bell. I just order off the value menu, and if I really want to like treat myself, Crunchwrap Supreme. What's your lowest score? Most birdies, most eagles? Have you ever had an albatross or hole-in-one? No albatross, no hole-in-one. Most birdies in a round is maybe like, oh, it's when I shot 63 or 62, whatever I said earlier. I've made them with 10 birdies. Most eagles? Maybe just 2. What does it take to get a full scholarship to a junior college? I don't really know. Like, I would imagine your SATs matter and a good playing resume matters. I didn't play college golf in America. I played in Canada. I had opportunities to go, but I couldn't afford the balance on the scholarship I was offered. But your SAT scores matter, or they mattered when I was going to school or getting ready for school. And your scoring average, like if you can have a scoring average, you know, under 75 as a junior golfer and playing high level tournaments as a junior golfer and a good SAT score and good grades, you should be able to get some good scholarship opportunities. That's the only advice I can give there. What's the best method of keeping your attitude positive and not worry about past holes or shots? I have an issue with being too hard on myself. Well, yeah, well, so do I. I think 9 out of 10 golfers do, and that's kind of the rub of playing golf. How do you move on from bad shots? And no one's immune to it and no one's perfect at it. I've gotten better at it, but it still affects me from time to time. And it's just, you have to practice and devote your attention to being so focused on the shot you're about to hit and not what's in the past. Like, for example, I don't really remember what I just did, what I was doing, or the questions that I answered 5 minutes ago. But when I'm on the golf course, it's easy to remember what I did 5 minutes ago. So it's like training your mind to not be so hung up on the past, whether it's good or bad, because it's easy to think, oh, I made a bunch of birdies, and you get really high on yourself, and then all of a sudden you do something stupid because you've lost your focus. So it goes both ways. So staying really, really focused, and if through meditation or through just focusing on your breath, like different things, staying really in the moment. You know, one thing, I mean, these are just like whatever beaded bracelets, but they're elastic. Put an elastic on your wrist, and if you're struggling thinking about something in the past or in the future that's not in your control, snap that elastic, and you're gonna have some physical cue to remind you to get back in the here and now. I think that could be something really good to help you stay focused on what's in front of you. Okay, I'll end on this one because this is a pretty cool one. What do you eat before and during a round? Before a round, like I just eat a regular type breakfast. I want to eat enough that I've got fuel in my system. Lots of times, like when you're playing this like circuit that I'm playing, like if I have a half-hour drive to the course, I want to coordinate kind of eating as I go type thing. Because I make sure I'm awake at least 2 to 2.5 hours before a tee time. And I'll eat pretty much right away, and then I'll probably eat right when I get to the golf course, like a little snack, about an hour before my tee time. And then on the golf course, it's just like protein bars, energy bars. I love Lara bars, Cliff bars, and bananas, apples. That's really it. I want to make sure I eat every 5 or 6 holes so that I'm just fueled, because the big important thing is you have enough for your blood sugar and your energy levels late in a round. Because if your body isn't fueled properly or hydrated properly, so I have electrolyte mixes, I make sure I drink a lot of water. If it's not hydrated or fueled properly, the brain goes. And late in a round, you want to make sure you're just as mentally and physically sharp as you were when you started. So proper fueling is really, really key. To add to that, I think proper rest is more important, because that allows your body to digest, last night's food properly, and then use the fuel you're putting in it while you're out on the golf course. So, I mean, I don't eat a specific diet, but it's just eating smart, healthy-ish, no Taco Bell before a round, and properly fueling your body throughout the round. So every 4 or 5 holes, and making sure you're drinking a ton of water, even if it's not a hot day. Just drink a ton of water. Okay, I've rambled on for like almost 20 minutes. I don't know if this is all gonna make the edit, but thank you guys so much for your questions. I hope you enjoyed it here in my cousin's yoga room in Barrie. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm headed to Seaforth tomorrow to play the Pro-Am. I'm gonna film the Pro-Am and just have some fun with my group, and then it's tournament time, so I'll see you guys in a couple days. Peace.